Welcome to the Be Better podcast with Infinity Real Estate Services. True stories from Bakersfield's business owners and entrepreneurs. We have sold over 50,000 homes in the Kern County area, and we are still going. Delete your limiting beliefs. If you have a dream, turn it into a goal. Only massive, inspired action will get you to where you want to be. If you're starting a business or looking to grow one, you're in the right spot. Welcome to the Be Better experience.
What's up, everybody? It's Lee Barrison here with the Be Better podcast and Infinity Real Estate Services, and we're coming to you live from the downtown location here at 2611 F Street. And for anybody out there that's watching this Be Better podcast, I just want to thank you for joining us, number one. And the intention behind this podcast is really to dive deeper into how to be better in all aspects of your life, whether it be physical, whether it be your family, whether it be mental, business-wise, anything in life where we want to improve. And so it's really important for us to get that word out on how just to be better in all areas of our life. Today, guys, is a special episode, and I'm excited to introduce our guest, Johnny Garza, to the podcast. Welcome, Johnny.
Thank you, Lee. Hello.
Yep. Johnny has been with me for about 3 years. We've been working together,
Yeah,
right?
Going on 3 years.
Okay, cool. So he trusted me with his business. He decided to jump on board. Johnny currently is the CEO of the Garza Real Estate Group here in Bakersfield. He's got a small team. And today's topic, guys, if you're in the real estate industry, or even if you're in other industries of your life, as an entrepreneur, at some point in your life, you also have to expand and grow and develop to become bigger and better. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I thought it was really appropriate for me to bring Johnny on today. And thank you again, Johnny, for coming on. So
you're welcome. Thanks for having me, Lee.
Thank you. Yeah. So with that being said, Johnny, let's get started. Okay. So for instance, 3 years ago, you were working at a different brokerage. I'm not sure if you were getting the results that you were looking for, but I'm assuming that you weren't. Otherwise, you wouldn't have left. So
correct.
Tell me about that 3 years ago. Where were you?
Well, 3 years ago, like you mentioned, I was at another local real estate agency. It was actually the second one that I went to. I had initially started at no longer in business one. But the main thing is I got the same out of the first and the second, which is not much assistance, not much help, not much guidance, not much mentoring. I was feeling almost like I was a guy in a raft in the middle of the ocean with no oars.
Wow. Okay.
That's how I felt. But I didn't know any better. So I almost thought this was the normal because I had received my real estate license not too many months before that. Mm-hmm. So that was my experience. I would try to connect with my broker. I actually never ever met my broker from the last agency I was with before I got here. My contact with them was always by the phone, and actually I would say by text, because every time I would call, he would never actually pick up the phone.
Well, you probably didn't know who was calling.
Yeah. But I'm like, man, it doesn't even know what I'm going to ask. So anyways,
sure.
That was my experience. So I had no fulfillment. I thought real estate was going to be fun, but I didn't really enjoy it. Even when I had a transaction or a deal, I was nervous. I was stressed out because I didn't know what I was doing. And when I tried to get some help, I never really got it. So as it turns out, another colleague in the industry asked if I wanted to go lunch, met him. And in that little lunch that we had, he mentioned you and Infinity and the culture, and it really intrigued me. So one thing led to another, and that's what brought me here.
Very interesting. That's awesome. So, Johnny, it's funny that you brought that up, but not having the access to support or the access to a mentor or access to a broker, that's really important, especially for somebody that's newer in the business, right?
Yes.
Because like you said, you're in a life raft without an oar, just hoping and praying and wishing and thinking and wondering if this thing's all going to work out, right?
Right.
Without any direction whatsoever. And so I can tell you from my own experience too, I was in your same shoes when I first started. I remember once I decided to join my first brokerage ever, I signed the paperwork with my broker to get started, to hang my license at the office. And I remember him walking me over to a cubicle, and basically he goes, "Here's your desk. That's your phone. Go get him, Tiger." And he walked off.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, what does he want me to do? And so he didn't really provide much guidance. And so I would ask other people, well, what do you do? And they didn't want to share their quote unquote secrets with me, right?
Exactly.
And there are no secrets in this business, right?
Exactly.
And so, for a long time, I understand what you're talking about, because for a long time myself, I was just, fishing with no bait. I had no idea what I was doing. And luckily, I got my hands on a few good people that were high in production at the time, and they mentored me a little bit and taught me what I should and shouldn't do. I also noticed that the higher producers all had private offices, and their doors were always shut, and they would never even spend a minute telling you what to do or how to do it, because they were fearful that you were going to maybe take a deal from them or whatever, or they don't want to share their secrets. And we know for a fact, guys, if you're in real estate, there aren't any secrets. I mean, all you have to do is replicate somebody else's activities, and you're going to get the same results. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And just to piggyback a little bit about what you said, I think as a new agent, you really just don't know better. You almost start to believe that this is the norm, right? The lack of leadership or mentorship, I should say, the lack of direction, the lack of assistance and help and guidance, because you don't know any better. And it's a little bit discouraging. I think that's a little bit about why a lot of folks who get started in the real estate business soon after get back out, because they have such a bad experience getting started. And now that I've been in it for a minute, I come to find out that it's not necessarily a tough business, but you just got to connect with the right people, or the right brokerage,
for sure,
the right circle of folks in the industry that are open to mentor, to teach, to build, and they're out there. I mean, I found mine with your agency, with you, Lee, and that has helped me immensely in my growth.
Yeah, man. I've seen it firsthand, so I can stand by you on that one. Johnny Garza, when he first joined my company, how many deals did you close the previous year, if you don't mind me asking?
I think coming to you that year, leading up to when I joined Infinity, I think I might have had 4 or 5 transactions.
4 or 5 transactions. Yeah. Okay, good. So that's better than most. And going back to what you were saying earlier, the average shelf life, according to the National Association of Realtors, is 12 to 18 months for a real estate agent. So as an average agent in the marketplace in the United States, there's 1.8 million real estate agents in real estate in the United States, but the average shelf life, they get into the business and they're either out of the business or checking out of the business within 12 to 18 months, because they just didn't have they had a lack of guidance. They just simply didn't have enough support to get them to 1 deal or 2 deals or 3 deals. Correct. So you did 4 or 5 the year that you came on board. And mind you guys, just as a cliff note, this podcast, we're talking about team building, guys, right? So Johnny now has a team with 4 great real estate agents that he mentors and he works with. And they're extremely happy working for Johnny, so he's doing something right. And mind you, the best news is that his wife is his executive assistant. And if you want to talk about having some accountability in your life, that's the way to go. I know when I was married, my wife at the time became my executive assistant.
Yes.
And that was actually an extremely good hire.
Yes.
Because there's nobody else that wants it more than she does.
Exactly.
Right. And Sonia, your wife, she's extremely supportive.
Yes.
And she's not going to let you slide.
Correct. She's my biggest fan. She's my biggest supporter, like you said. She's smart. She knows how to handle the daily grind of real estate, because guess what? She actually got her license many years before me.
That's right. That's right.
So she's a licensed real estate agent herself. And what better to have as a partner than one of your best friends. You know, she is my BFF, as they say, and we click pretty good. And she, like I said, she's my biggest supporter, and she knows. And not only that, she knows me inside and out. So she knows my expectations, she knows my likes, my dislikes, and she knows how I like to have my affairs in order in my business.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. And okay, so let's rewind just a little bit here. Okay, so you're a single agent. When did you start the Garza Realty Group?
August 1st of 2023, just last year. We're just a up and coming new little team.
So we're about 6 months into the business.
Correct.
As a team. Okay, good. And so rewinding, you closed 4 or 5 transactions at your previous brokerage, came to Infinity. What happened the following year?
The following year, now with Infinity, I closed 18 deals.
18, your second year, or
I guess you could say
year.
my first full year with Infinity.
Wow. Okay. So you grew 4 times the amount or more.
Right.
Okay. And then so you close 18. What about the next year after that?
The next year after that, and by the way, I'm kind of proud of it. I know it's tooting your own horn, but I think acknowledgments when someone does great is a very positive thing. So that first year when I got my 18 transactions, I got Rookie of the Year.
Yes,
from Infinity.
that's right.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
It feels good to be recognized, and certainly I had my own satisfaction that I did well, but it was good to be recognized that way. Now, my second full year with Infinity, I wound up getting top producer for Infinity, and I closed, I think it was like 34, 35 transactions.
Okay, so you close. Hold on, stop right there. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so he came on board, and mind you, as Johnny's broker or coach, mentor, whatever you want to call me, I've got the easy part. He comes to me with questions. He comes to me looking for answers. I give him the best advice that I can, but he had the hard part. He actually had to implement the advice, or you had to break through some barriers, some uncomfortable situations, and so on and so forth, and you did well. So, just listen to that, okay? So the first year he did 4. Next year he did 18. The next year he did 34. Okay, so there's something going on in Johnny's life that is working, right? Yeah. So then I think that me and Johnny, before you even started a team, we started talking about the appropriate way, or the right way to build a team. Right. And I remember... because I'm sure that you would agree with this, but there's a lot of agents or team leaders or brokers, once they sell a dozen houses, they feel that they're adequate. They have to build a huge team.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
I agree. There's that group out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now that group, those type of agents are either lacking energy to do more for themselves, or it's an ego-based situation where they feel like, egocentric, knowing that, hey, look at me, I sold 12 houses last year, I'm going to build a big bad team. And that's not the appropriate way to go.
Correct.
Right. And so I think that you and I, when we sat down, I know that when I started building a team, the magic number was 35 to 40 transactions till I start the hiring process of building a team. And I think that you did the exact same thing.
Very much so.
Right. And so then you decided to hire with 3 agents in the beginning.
Right.
Right. And Sonia, your wife, executive assistant, your boss. Right.
Not only here, but at home.
Right. Yeah. She just carries the whip around everywhere she goes. So then she jumped on board, and now it's you and 4 other agents, and your production goal this year personally is going to be 40 transactions.
Correct.
And I think that we're on point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Just started the year, but definitely on point.
Good. That makes me very excited, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if I got to have a long sleeve shirt on here, but still I've got a lot of chills going on here just because of that. But with that being said, Johnny, so we have 40 for you. What is your team expected to do for the year?
They all have each other's goals. Of course, as a team lead and as a team, we discuss them often, and we always revisit those goals to make sure we're tracking and they're tracking, to see if we need to make adjustments. But in the end, I think on the average, each team member wants to at least hit 15 to 20 transactions in 2024. Now, mind you, I just started the team. 6 months ago.
Sure.
Towards the latter half of last year. And, you know, yes, I could have focused my recruitment efforts on getting agents that were well underway of production, experience, but I'm very much attracted to, and I gravitate towards agents who have a need and a desire to learn and also grow. It comes natural to me to want to help those folks. And so my team is relatively new themselves in the industry. And again, like me, when I came to you, they themselves had maybe 4, 5, 6 transactions in the year prior. So to get 15 or 20 transactions with their first year with the team would be an amazing accomplishment for them. And I know it would just be a building block from there on out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at you're 6 months into the business as a team lead or as a team. And, I mean, if you really think about it, you know, in a nutshell, I mean, you guys are way ahead of the game right now.
Yes.
You know, and I understand what you're talking about too, Johnny, having newer agents on your team versus more seasoned agents, because seasoned agents are kind of stuck in their ways and there's you can't really do a grooming process with them.
Correct.
Right. And I think that your team has a specific culture and you don't want to just bring anybody into the team. But when you have a newer agent, then they're more open to the grooming process and, you know, being that person that you expect them to be.
Correct.
Right. So tell me a little bit about this. Okay. So now that we have a team and we built it the right way, right? As a team lead, it's your responsibility to always take listings, always create the inventory.
Correct.
And as of yesterday, you've already taken 3 listings and we're in the first week of February. So congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
So that means that you're on track to hit 36 listings this year or more. And so as a team lead, right? Because I can tell you what, the proof is in the pudding. Your activities is a direct correlation of your production and the people that choose to stay with you. A lot of team leaders, what they do as well, which I don't agree with, is they don't take any listings. There's agents within their own team that take more listings than they do. And you have to understand the dynamics behind that, because those people are probably thinking to themselves, well, shit, if he's not doing anything, why am I here?
Correct.
So tell me more about that. Like what gives you the audacity to go off and take 3 listings a month as a team lead?
Well, number one, as a team lead, you have to lead by example. Any great leader, it's one of the traits of being a great leader is you lead by example. And in this business, once you really start getting into the nooks and cranny of knowing how this business works, it's all about listings, okay? Like the saying goes in this business, you know, the little cliches or the little sayings, you have to list to exist.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And those who control the inventory, those
the
who
market.
have the listings control the market, control the buyers. You have listings, naturally buyers are going to be calling you about your listings. So you wind up building business that way. So that's what I focus on. It's about structure. It's about having a routine. It's about daily dedication to those things that get you more listings, which is prospecting every single day. Showing your team that you yourself are doing it. So, and then they see your results.
Sure.
Then
right.
they get excited and they want to be part of that. They want to get the same kind of results. So part of being a team is for us, all of us, to be like-minded individuals with similar goals of growth and prosperity and success, self-accomplishments and team accomplishments. And that's what drives us. So in a nutshell, that's what is kind of the foundation of our team.
Sure.
Starting from there.
You guys are very structured, I noticed too.
We are.
It seems like you guys are always here at the office by 8:30 or so.
Yeah.
You guys constantly are having meetings and putting your heads together. I guess this is kind of a crucial time to be having a lot of meetings because we're still trying to iron out the details, I think, right?
Yeah, we are. We're finding our place. But, you know, it helped that before I got into real estate, this is my second career. You know, before that, I was in public service for 25 years. And 20 of those 25 years, I was in a position of supervision or management, I guess you should say leadership. So I basically was groomed and conditioned and structured, and my whole mindset shifted I mean, imagine having something basically pounded into you for 20 years as far as being a leader, being a mentor, being a person who guides individuals and builds individuals. So when I came into this business, when I started my second career, again, I already had those traits. I already had those habits. I already had those fundamentals that fit well in starting my team.
Which is really crucial, guys. I mean, because like correction officers, people that are in the military, anybody that is a very structured human being where they're basically forced to have discipline, those are the best real estate agents, I believe. It's not the shoe salesman. It's not the, it's not the girl at McDonald's. It's not, that's great. No offense to anybody, but just based off my own experience, it's always the people that are in law enforcement. It's always the people that are in the military. It's always the people that are professional athletes.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, they have a disciplinary type role that they have to play out. And you're setting that example for your team, which creates a trend, right?
Correct.
They know if Johnny shows up, well, shit, I got to show up too.
Right.
Right. So tell me more about this. Okay. So you have 4 agents, including your boss, and, obviously there's different personalities.
Very much so. That's another quality that makes a good team lead, a good leader, is being able to manage the different personalities in the office, on the team. You have to be able to recognize and adjust and accept the different personalities that you're going to be dealing with, because that's important. There has to be an acknowledgement and a recognition, and you have to adapt to that. Ultimately, in the end, like I said, I did it for 2 decades and then some. So again, that comes very easy for me. Being a leader, there's a saying that says being a leader, it goes like this. It's easy to lead people. It's much harder to teach people how to be leaders. And I like to think that I'm not just leading people. I like to think that I'm building my team members to one day be leaders themselves, which is a lot harder than to lead people. And that's just not, it'd be great if one day they can feel confident and be experienced enough to maybe get their own team, but not just having their own team. They can be leaders in their own industry
or their own life.
Right. Yeah. They can be leaders in reaching goals that they set for themselves. I mean, there's so many aspects to being a great leader. It just doesn't entail leading people, but definitely there's a lot of work that goes into building leaders. And that's what I like to do. That's what I focus my time on. I get great joy in seeing people grow and evolve, and to see them even do better than me. I mean, that's the best satisfaction that I've had in my life, when I've mentored folks and I see them go beyond my expectations, their own expectations, and to know that you had a little part in that, right? Isn't that, I mean, don't you see the joy in that?
1,000%, Johnny. I mean, Johnny, listen, that was the whole reason I got into having a team in the first place, because there was so much excitement. Yeah. When, for instance, I remember an agent that came to me. He sold 2 houses, and his broker says, you're better off going back to Denny's bussing tables, because you're never going to make it in this business.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Bold statement, right? From your broker, the guy that, was supposed to help you out. Anyways, he came to me and he says, do you think I can actually do this? And I said, yeah, 100%. What makes you think you can't? Well, my broker told me this. And I said, well, don't listen to that. Okay.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, weeks into being on the team, something clicked. You can almost see it, right? Where you're like, oh shit, he's getting it. There's something that hit him in the head, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, boom. And he ended up, I think the first year with me, I think he sold 10 or 12. The next year, I think he sold 22, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. The next year, I think he sold 32. Pretty amazing. Then he took off and started in a different field of real estate, but then came back. And as of today, I believe he's on track to hit roughly close to $1 million in GCI.
That's awesome. I mean, that's an amazing, true success story there.
100%. And that right there is all I care about. You know, it's not the money as a leader.
Correct.
Right? It's always about money is the byproduct of you helping others turn into leaders, right?
Correct.
And I'm with you on that, right? So for instance, some teams out there, Johnny, I don't know if you've ever witnessed this before, but I have, is that some team leaders will not allow their agents to take listings.
I was recruited to one of these type of companies, and I was like, no, thank you.
No, yeah, I do all the work. You get all the credit.
Before I came here, I actually went to another agency that was trying to recruit me, and that was their pitch. That was their system. Yeah. You can only do buyers, and all the listings went to the broker. And I even asked, well, how about your own family member? Nope, broker. Yeah. I'm like, okay, thank you, bye.
Yeah. Yeah, your grandma wants to sell her house. I can't talk to you, Grandma. I'm a buyer's agent.
So in essence, they just had a robocall factory of agents making phone calls and taking buyers around. That's it. There was really no skill set being passed on or growth being given to these agents.
And you know, you teach your agents, the ones that you work with, you teach them how to take listings, and you want them to get the credit for that listing because it makes them feel good.
Yes.
And you want them to be able to taste, because you want, like you said in the beginning, you have to list to exist, and you want them to exist.
Yes.
And the only way to keep them around happy and, more importantly, excited is teaching them how to take listings, right? Because then all of a sudden, like you mentioned as well, now you have control of your life. You have control of the market. You have buyers are a byproduct of just taking listings, right?
Correct.
And I think that's great. You know, like when that was my full intention. I'm never ever going to take credit for your work. You know what I mean? And I wanted every single agent on my team to learn how to take listings, right? But the majority of the industry, Johnny, typically doesn't know how to take listings.
Correct.
So what do? They work with a lot of buyers.
Correct.
And then they don't control anything in their life. And so I think it's really important. I'm really proud of you for doing that. And anybody else that's watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, I think it's important as a team leader, if you're not already doing it, is to expose the people that you are leading to bigger and better things in this business. Because you know, when you take listings, as everyone knows out there, that's when the real fun begins in this business. When you become a great listing machine, you know what I mean. So with that being said, what's your niche? What's your niche market for yourself?
My niche market, I mean, I like heavy focus on for sale by owners.
Okay.
They're a great bunch of folks.
Mm-hmm.
Some are kind of intimidated, and I always practice with my team and breaking that wall that they have and connecting with for sale by owners, because they can be a little abrasive when you connect with them. Obviously, they
don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, they decided to go at it alone because they don't want to deal with an agent. But the fact is, they have a need, they had a motivation to be listing their house to sell. So you just gotta be patient.
Yes.
But be patient, because in the end, I think it's 95% of all transactions are done with an agent. 5% of those folks try to do it their own, and probably even less than that wind up doing it their own because they wind up realizing it wasn't a great idea and they wind up getting an agent. So eventually they're going to have a change of heart. For those who don't and actually succeed in getting their home sold for sale by owner, hats off to them. But that's one of my groups that I focus on. Love expired, same thing. Obviously something happened in that transaction that they weren't able to get their house sold. Many times it was just the property was overpriced, but it could be other things. But the main thing is the seller already had motivation. Otherwise they never would have had their house up for sale. So that's another group is already, some of the work's already done for you when you connect with them.
They've already signed a contract before.
And they'd made a decision to sell before. So there was a motivation there.
Right.
If it still exists, you could potentially get that listing.
That's the way to look at it. No, 100%. And you know, most agents out there that are listening to this call refuse to talk to for sale by owners, and because they're fearful that they're going to be rude and loud, and
they are sometimes,
and they are, right?
But you learn how to talk to them, and you learn your approach, and you learn certain skills and techniques, and it's all about not necessarily what you say, but how you say it. And you can build at least a rapport that it's something you can come back to. I don't approach it really where I'm going to pound it in their head for them to try to list with me today. Why would I try to convince somebody to list with me today when they already have it in their head they weren't going to use an agent? But I plant the seed that if in the chance you can't get it sold, I think you can, but let's say you can't. Are you going to rent the property? Are you going to stay with the property? Well, no, I'm trying to sell it. Well, then great. Would you at least be open to having a conversation later for us to go ahead and possibly help you with that? And that seems to help lessen that conversation from
Sure.
it being an adversarial one to a more open one. And then you just follow up.
Yeah. It's a follow-up game with for sale by owners, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So I know with for sale by owners, I mean, like you said, if you call for sale by owner, 99.9% of the time, they're not going to even invite you to their home.
Correct.
And it's just a conversation, right, Johnny? That's all it
Conversation.
is. You're not trying to take the listing. You're not trying to. But you're more or less acting out of just being an act of service to other people.
A resource.
Right? A resource to other people. Yeah, you're offering what you can do to help them go for sale by owner, perhaps even sell on their own.
Yes, that's the key.
But like you said, it's the follow-up game,
Yes.
and basically they only last for so long on the market themselves till they finally give up. But the person that they're going to call is the one that was providing the most service and the one that was not hard and heavy on taking a listing, but being there
Amen.
if they needed them.
That's the key. That's the key right there. So just be patient. You already know the likely outcome of a for sale by owner trying to sell the property. You know this. The stats are not in their favor that it's going to happen, smoothly. And so you just got to be patient, establish a rapport, and don't sound like every other 100 agents that are calling them trying to, why don't you list with me today? That's not going to happen.
No.
If you can set yourself apart, you have a pretty good chance. So yeah, that's one of the niches that I have. And then the expires, of course. And then, general prospecting. Yeah, you're going to have to make, 100 calls in a week to maybe get 2 listings or 3 listings. But if you're helping 3 people from those 100 calls, then you've done your job, because there are folks every day that are thinking about selling their home, thinking about buying a home. And that's such a big, important endeavor. It's one of the biggest, most important, most expensive things they're ever going to do in their lives. I don't take it for granted. And those are the folks that I try to connect with.
That's awesome, Johnny. And like you said, also, it's one of the, if not the most expensive asset that they're ever going to sell, right? And so why would you do it yourself, right? So for instance, I don't cut my own hair. I can,
Right.
but I don't do it. I pay $30 a haircut.
I'd love to see you do that. See how that looks.
No, you won't. Hey, but listen, I've never changed my own transmission either.
Exactly.
Because I don't know how to do it. And I'd rather pay somebody to do it. So I think it's important for anybody out there that's thinking about going for sale by owner to call Johnny Garza immediately before you take that jump. Okay, so let's wrap it up. But with that being said, Johnny, anybody out there, okay, so if there's anybody out there listening to this conversation and they're thinking about building a team, give them 2 or 3 tips on what you would recommend. Perhaps maybe it's from your own trials and errors, but maybe give them some 2 or 3 items of advice before they decide to start going forward.
I'm going to kind of give that a twofold type of response. First and foremost, for those agents who find themselves out there, like I found myself out there, kind of like you said, in a boat with no oars. I use that analogy. And you even shared your experiences when you started out, finding that same kind of, finding yourself in the same place. I believe the majority of agents starting off, that's where they're going to find themselves. So advice to those agents, don't lose hope. Don't get discouraged. The key, I'm telling you right now, it's not a secret. Find a mentor. You don't have to join a team, but you do have to probably find someone that is willing to spend some time with you and teach you the fundamentals of real estate. Because again, there's no secrets in real estate. It's just getting the fundamentals down. Because after that, it's the same thing. Everyone, to include the multi-million-dollar listers and multi-million-dollar successful agents, are doing the same things that I'm doing today. It's the same fundamentals. So that's what they need to do. As far as for those who are thinking about creating a team, definitely have to have a heart for it, because you said it's not about the money. Certainly, yes, it's part of my growth.
Sure.
I'm creating a team with the hope that not only do I inspire and build and grow my team members, but with their success, I'm going to have success to include financially.
Yep.
So that's factored in there, but it's a second, third degree thing down the list. First and foremost, you have to have a passion and a heart to lead people.
What does that passion look like?
You have to enjoy some of the challenges and patience. You have to have patience with people. You have to enjoy teaching others. You have to have niche for being able to problem solve, because all the problems are going to come to you as a team lead.
That's right.
Every single problem is going to come to you as a team lead. You're going to get calls from the early morning to the late at nights. You're going to have to help them through some of the tough deals that happen every single day. Not every deal. Most deals don't go down without a hitch.
Sure.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
But so you have to, number one, be in the right mindset.
Do you think humility has anything to do with that?
Oh, definitely. You have to have humility. That's one of the big ones too. I mean, there is so many different aspects. In fact, it could be somewhat probably definitely worth the second thought if you want to definitely create a team. But for those who have the mindset, they have the skills, they have the traits, then it can be something very fulfilling and very rewarding. Have your business plan in order. Where's your team going to be? What's your office going to look like? What furnishings do you need? What supplies do you need? What are you going to provide? Get not only your business plan, chart out a agent agreement. What is that agreement going to look like? What are your expectations from your team members, and what are the expectations that your team members are going to have from you? It's mutual. It has to work out for both. So
this is golden nuggets right here. Okay.
So what are you offering, and what can I offer you? Or what am I going to offer you? That needs to be charted out.
Yeah.
You have to have some charisma, and you have to project the likability where folks trust you and want to be part of your team, want to follow you. To be led is basically you're giving that person a signal that you trust them, and there's something about you that would make me want to follow you. You have to have that. I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have joined your team lead if you didn't have something about you when I met you that made me feel you wouldn't be able to help me, and you did give me that. When we met, the way you presented yourself, the way you presented your brokerage.
I was in sweatpants and tennis shoes the day we met.
But it's not what you said, it was how you said it, man.
Oh, I see.
And it was the culture, and it was true. That's why I put my faith in you, that I was making the right call, and that you would help me build my business and build myself, and you did. So that's the same thing. So someone wanting to start a team should also be planning that way as well, to be able to be that person when they sit down with that individual. Why would they want to follow you? So you should have that charted out too. And then just be prepared for the longer and harder days, because as a solo agent, you only have yourself to worry about. As a team lead, you are carrying the responsibility that these agents are going to be looking for you for guidance and help at any time and any day.
And they have families as well.
And they got families.
You're responsible for too.
I mean, in the end, they're counting on you, and that's a big responsibility to take on. So if you're not ready to take on those things and own it, then don't get a team just because you want to be, like you said, an ego trip. I'm a team lead. You basically have to be ready to give what your team expects, and that's a lot. They do expect a lot.
100%. Especially with newer agents. I mean, they have a lot of questions. They have a lot of a lot of issues that they're dealing with, which most of them aren't really issues. They're just like, oh my God, I don't know how to open up a lockbox. What do I do?
They just don't know.
Calm down. Right?
But even those moments are fulfilling, because you're teaching them something that it might have been so layman or so remedial, but you just help them get one step further ahead.
Yeah.
They'll forever now know how to open a lockbox.
Yes.
Check one off the list.
Right. Something that came to mind real quick is that you have to give to get, right? So if you want freedom, you have to give. If you want finances, you have to give first.
Yes.
You cannot get until you start giving first, and I think that's a biblical type of way of looking at things.
Yes.
I think God always wants us to be able to be givers versus takers.
Exactly.
Right? Because people can smell you from a mile away if you're a taker, not a giver.
Correct.
All right. Well, listen, let's wrap it up, Johnny.
Right
man.
on,
This is good conversation,
Yeah.
and I had fun talking to you about this. It was kind of nice to get to know you just a little bit better.
Well, thank you, Lee.
And let's go ahead and give Johnny a round of applause for this show. And Johnny, before we close, why don't you tell everybody out there how to get a hold of you, where you're located? And all that good stuff.
Garza Group right here at 2611 F Street under the umbrella of Infinity Real Estate Services. We're on the second floor. All my team members are ready and able and excited to serve our clients. Either if you're going to buy or sell a home, 661-932-4251.
Very cool. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Yep.